Christy at christy.litster.art on Instagram. Follow me, whatever, that would be cool. I thought I would come back this week with another topic on everyday spiritual practices that can help you, especially if you're just starting on your path to figuring out what your optimal life or your optimal reality is all about. And that is exactly what I want to talk about today. So what we're going to talk about is getting on your optimal timeline by staying in observation. So what does that mean? As we spoke about last time, everything that you do has a ripple effect out into your environment, meaning the people, places, all of the things that you're involved in. It has a ripple effect. It affects them, and then therefore they affect the people within their environment, and so on and so forth. And so you're actually rippling out, just like dropping a penny into a pond and you just see it ripple out. So everything you do actually creates the environment which you live in every day, which is why it's so important to try to always make positive choices, even in the most negative of situations, to try to always make positive choices that will create the most positive environment that you can be within. A timeline is basically the butterfly effect. If you've never heard of that, I suggest going and looking it up. But basically, imagine that everything you do creates a new version of reality within your life, and that there's an infinite amount of realities that you can be a part of. From the moment you're born until the day you die, you have infinite possibilities, and there's infinite realities of which you literally are participating in every single day. The idea is to get on that optimal version, whatever the best path is, that you're going to learn the lessons that you came here to learn, but not necessarily have to experience them in such traumatic ways, that you can actually, experience traumas. We're always going to experience traumas in our life, but that they don't have to bring your life to a halt every single time, that they don't have to overwhelm you. And the path to doing that is literally staying in observation. So being in observation literally means that you are being the observer of your own life. It's as if you're watching your own reality show all of the time. It is not feeling. That is a big misconception. Being observant does not mean that you don't feel feelings. You are human. You're going to feel feelings. You're going to feel anger. You're going to feel sadness. You're going to feel elation. You're going to feel every range of feeling that a human being can feel. And that's not wrong. And you shouldn't be bottling your feelings or disregarding your feelings. That is not what being in observation means. Being in observation means that you are actively watching yourself and taking note of whatever feeling you're feeling. So if you happen to be depressed, is probably, which a lot of people, especially these days, is suffering from some form of depression or anxiety, is to not let those feelings that you're feeling totally overwhelm you to the point where you are not actively trying to heal yourself. We always have the option. We always have the choice to jump into our optimal lives. Your optimal life might mean that you still have moments of depression. I mean, we all do. This is totally normal. I'm going to speak from my own personal experience with struggle. 3 years ago, I was diagnosed with cancer, and my experience through chemotherapy and radiation was pretty intense. It was pretty awful. One of the things that I did at that time was make the choice that I was not going to wallow in my despair. I didn't see how that would be an effective way of dealing with what I was going through, of trying to really heal through this tremendous trauma that was going on in my body. And moreover, I didn't want to share the really super negative aspects of the things that I was experiencing with everyone else. This didn't mean that I hid the negativities. This didn't mean that I hid the fact that I was suffering or that I was, really in a lot of pain sometimes, etc. And still to this day, I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia after, which I realize now I had for most of my life. I'm still struggling with body issues all of the time. I just chose at that time, and it was super effective, that I was going to try live in the most positive version of those moments, that I was still alive, that I was still breathing, and though sometimes breathing was incredibly difficult, I still was breathing. I still had the gift of life. And even though life seemed pretty crappy at that time, it was still a gift, that I was still important. Even at the times in my life, in my 20s when I was diagnosed with depression and anxiety, I was put on some pretty heavy medications to deal with those. And at the time they did help. They lifted me out of the depth, but they brought me to a neutral place where I didn't feel anything. And that is not necessarily where you want to be either. The idea is to really be observant, to really understand where are those feelings coming from. If you have a major insecurity, the best thing you can do for yourself is to seek out the seed of that insecurity. Maybe you have some insecurity about speaking in front of people, that you feel like people won't take you seriously, nobody's listening to you, and so therefore you feel like you can't share your own insights into life. That might have been seeded way back when you were a child and you got made fun of for sharing your opinions on something. And so it's seeded this insecurity in your life and you haven't healed that part. So every time you get up to talk in front of people or you do start sharing, you feel like nobody's paying attention to you, that nobody's hearing you, and it makes you frustrated or angry. So it is about finding the root of what you're feeling. Even if you're feeling helpless, like nothing I do matters, nothing I do is of any use, I suck, you can literally retrain your neural pathways. I learned this in therapy in my 20s. You can literally retrain your neural pathways by literally just telling yourself the opposite. I'm stupid. No, I'm actually very smart. Nobody cares about me. Actually, person A, B, C, D, they all care about me. I know they do because they show up. Even when I don't understand why they do, they still show up. And even if in that moment you do not believe what you're saying, it is important to continually be reminding yourself of your worth, even if it's really hard for you to believe at that time, because you are actually retraining your instinct in that moment. You're retraining your neural pathways to the more positive version of whatever that negative Nelly in your head is telling you. It's the beginning. That's not the end point. It takes a lot of work to get from trauma to healing, for sure. But there is a point of beginning, and it starts with you. You have to make the choice. And so the choice is really to go into observation, to try and understand what you're feeling, and to really, really choose the most positive way forward. Because you will start to affect your environment. If you're trying your hardest to just make a positive choice, to say, yeah, it sucks, but I still have A, B, and C. I still am capable of doing all of these things. I'm still here, and therefore it means I still have value. There's always value within me. So I could go on and on. Trust me, this is one of my closest subjects, having gone through my cancer experience and continuing to go through my fibromyalgia experience. Trauma is a huge, huge part and a teacher in my life. However, I know that there is a way past it, and that learning to get past the pain of what I'm actually feeling right now. My back is killing me right now. Sitting up is really killing me. But I'm in the moment. I'm saying I have something I can share, and that gives me value. I might only help one person out there. You might be that one person, and I hope I can help you. I really do. It's a big part of my goal of doing this. And that gives me value. So it is knowing yourself. To know yourself, to look at yourself honestly, step outside and be the observer of your own life, watch your own reality show, and know yourself. Understand the negative parts, understand the parts that maybe you're not reacting in a way of which you wish you were, and just actively start to change them. Little bits at a time. You don't need to make huge, lofty steps. It's just one tiny step at a time. And you'll see, after a very short period of time, making 2, 3, 4 tiny little steps, you will automatically start feeling better. And you will already be choosing the optimal timeline. So until next time, which is probably going to be pretty soon because I have some ideas poking around up here. I'm Christy. How are you being observant in your life? Do you have tips on how to be observant? Put them in the comments. That would be really cool. And I will see you soon. Love y'all. Peace.